Hi, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Our devotion for today, October 4th, 2022, is from the book of Acts, chapter 14, verses 1 through 7. Now at Iconium they entered together into the Jewish synagogue and spoke in such a way that a great number of both Jews and Greeks believed. But the unbelieving Jews stirred up the Gentiles and poisoned their minds against the brothers. So they remained for a long time, speaking boldly for the Lord, who bore witness to the word of his grace, granting signs and wonders to be done by their hands. But the people of the city were divided. Some sided with the Jews and some with the apostles. When an attempt was made by both Gentiles and Jews with their rulers to mistreat them and to stone them, they learned of it and fled to Lystra and Derbe, cities of Lycaonia, and to the surrounding country, and there they continued to preach the gospel. Our devotional text is from the book of Acts and has Paul and Barnabas located in the Iconium, the easternmost town in the region of Phrygia, near Galatia. As was their practice, Paul and Barnabas entered the Jewish synagogue and spoke to those present, both Jew and Greek, of Jesus. Some of the Jews, the unbelieving Jews, Luke tells us, stirred up the Gentiles and poisoned their minds against Paul and Barnabas and the word they were proclaiming. But don't miss this next sentence. So they remained for a long time, speaking boldly for the Lord. Paul and Barnabas did not run off at the first sign of opposition to what they were saying. They did not stop speaking about Jesus. Instead, they seemed to double down, speaking boldly for the Lord, we're told. And what happened? Luke tells us that the Lord bore witness to the word of his grace, granting signs and wonders to be done by Paul and Barnabas' hands. Do you hear that? Jesus rewarded their bold faith and continued preaching by giving them power to do signs and wonders to support their testimony. What will the Lord do for us if we show such boldness to speak of our faith even in the face of opposition, and to not back down, but to continue to speak? Luke records that half of the city was divided over what the apostles were teaching. Imagine, half the city had come to believe because of what Paul and Barnabas were telling them about Jesus and his resurrection. The Lord really was blessing their efforts. But we also are told that those who opposed what Paul and Barnabas were saying, those who were opposed to Jesus, also doubled down on their efforts to shut them down. Attempts were made to hurt and even kill Paul and Barnabas by the half who didn't believe, along with several of their rulers who didn't believe. So Paul and Barnabas had to flee to nearby towns for safety. And what did they do there in those other towns? They continued preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. They were not afraid to continue preaching the message that almost got them killed. They remained bold in their faith and witness to the Lord. How do you think you would have responded if you had been Paul or Barnabas? Would you have continued proclaiming the gospel when you were first opposed? How about after you had to flee for your life? Would you have begun again to preach so soon as you reached another town? Let us trust in the Lord to protect us and to honor our boldness of faith as we encounter opposition and resistance to our sharing of the gospel. Let us continue to speak the truth, even when it becomes dangerous for us to do so. As we saw in our last devotional text, or this devotional text, the Lord blessed the efforts of Paul and Barnabas, even though they were eventually chased out of town. Half the city still believed. Go in peace, serve the Lord.